So, bonjour, labrit, labas ritas, tereo mixcus, buongiorno, buen dia, buenos dias, guten Tag. That mean, what I mean here is that it's a European project and you have different participants, different understanding, different culture, different languages. And in railway, it's one of the main issue. That means looking at what we have in common. Because the railway, it's a legacy, not only for the infrastructure, but also for the people that are participating during the construction and later on during operation and maintenance. And we will see, and the purpose of this presentation is ensuring safety and interoperability, two folders, the safety. And I'm sure that when I'm talking about safety, everybody has his own understanding of what is safety. Safety for people, safety for system, and the safety in terms of processes in an organization. So I will go back to what are the fundamental in a railway. That means what principle do we apply when we are building a company? That means how do we build this legacy for the people? Now, railway is also, most of the time, a copy and paste approach. We know how to build a railway, we have the safety case, we validate and we test the equipment and we validate the equipment. But each time that we are developing this, we have to also to consider the context in which we are doing it. And this approach is covered by the risk. We look at the hazard, we develop the hazard into risk, and then you mitigate this risk. And the context is a very important part in this analysis, because not all railways are equal, even if they are using the same methodology, the same technology, and the same culture. The context is impacting them in the way we use them. And then the action, not going too much in the detail or interoperability, but showing you how we implement this culture into the action. And they are not a very techie approach. Is very the fundamental how we organize the company, what kind of process, what kind of documentation we use, and also what kind of expertise we put on board. We do confess that we don't have all the skills here. The three Baltic countries are almost together 6 million people, so we do need the support from Europe and these 450 million people to support us. And the way we develop this build-up of this company during the development is also asking for the support, and I guess that's the reason why you are there. It's what kind of support we are looking for in Europe for developing this project. I have to push on the button. So I will go to principle, context, and action. So the first one is a very simple principle. The first day, my first day of railway, I've been told simpler is safer. It's not because we look for simplicity, it's because in a railway you have different opportunities, or you have different contexts, and you have different occasions where the railway is working sometimes when you expect it to work, and sometimes when it does not operate the way you work. And simplicity is ensuring that in any case, normal mode, degraded mode, or emergency mode, you still have the minimum of knowledge, the kind of simplicity of approach that guarantee you that we will take the safe approach. So this principle, how do we implement this principle of simplicity in a railway to ensure the maximum of safety, is looking at removing all boundaries or interfaces and ensuring that you are developing one railway system, and that's the way we define the system definition, and you're developing also the same national value in terms of performance and safety target, the common one. Engineering rules, process rules, that means, again, railway, because it's a copy and paste approach. What is important is ensuring when we provide the safety case that you can also demonstrate that not only the system is safe, but the way you build the system was also as safe as it was demonstrated in previous project. And also, pending to the risk management and risk analysis, there is solution that you can find through the system and solution that you have to find through operating rules. That means that the safety level which is achieved by operators or maintainers, that means the human factor. So that's what is recommended and now into force in Europe. That means implementing the common safety method through risk assessment. So looking at the way we ensure safety through the common approach, a common risk analysis. Talking about the legacy, and it's coming into force also, I will show you in the next slide also that when we consider the overall safety in a railway, we have to consider one of the weakest elements is human factors. That means a railway is operated and maintained and used by human, and that their own failures. And even during the development or during the use or during the maintenance operation, we have to take into account all these human factors. Also, the best knowledge and the best skills are developed by the human. the best safety you can get in your railway. So we put the human at the heart during the development of the project and also into the operating rules that we are developing in parallel of the system development. Then we are lucky, and because I was not always in Europe during the last year, but I did notice going to this presentation to all the latest regulations that were developed in Europe. We are very lucky to have now a quite consistent documentation and regulation and directive in Europe that are supporting the development of this new project. For example, this one, where we have some guidance, and I will go through a very detailed guidance that we can use when you start from scratch, knowing exactly what could be put in place to demonstrate that you are following the best rule, at least you are at the top as a state of the art when developing a railway. The language, coming back to the start of my presentation, the different languages. Railway is a language. And people joining the railway are quite used to all these acronyms and abbreviations and strange language that we have in the railway. And almost all railways have their own wording. And the railway being a language, what we need to ensure also is applying, and we talk about standardization with Agnes, ensuring that you have a standardized approach and in developing the railway and then operating it. We have the common language, the common railway language. And language, as you know, is based on your culture and the concepts that are behind the words. So what we are doing in Rail Baltica during the development, and then when we hand over to the infrastructure manager, railway undertaking, later on when we enter into operation and maintenance, ensuring this common language has been correctly developed, documented, and implemented in all aspects of this of the railway itself, and then later on when we operate it. And the guidelines that we get from Europe are looking at the safety culture. I'm putting an emphasis on the safety culture. Looking at the safety management system, that means the way we deal with all these safety aspects within an organization. The human factor and organizational factors, okay, how do we take care and bringing the safety inside of the people that we have, and then description of the common safety method through risk assessment, which was already in place and, in 5126, the European norm 5126 some time ago, and now which is way more described. And also we look at technical specification for interoperability, which is the techie part of the aspect, how we have modules and how do we demonstrate the technical compliance when we want to operate from one network to the other. And conformity assessment, how do we demonstrate how safe we are through the system and through the people. National rules, how do they impact the system, and later on the RTMS system that will be presented later this afternoon. The context, we can't deny that we have, at least we are working between three partners, three language, three understanding, and we have obviously, we are dealing with, or we are collaborating with Finland and Poland regarding the future connection that we'll have with this country. And obviously we have this European envelope, or this European overall approach regarding the standard and the way we should develop this railway for interoperability, the corridor concept. This difference of language, this difference of approach is an important impact or an important factor or driver in the way we organize this railway. Not denying that they are already operating railways, have their own rules, but it's sometimes more easier to create new rules than to bend existing rule to a new process or to a new operation or a new infrastructure. We are facing also a technical issue, very practical. You know, maybe the difference between a greenfield when you start building a railway from scratch in an open land, and you have no other constraint than your own railway. Here we have an existing railway, an existing network, which is called the 1520 railway, with its own electrification and its own interfaces that you have to modify or interface with them. And it's a constraint also in a main station, for example. We have national rules and expertise that needed to be also adjusted to the way we are developing this railway, and physical interfaces like the 3 kV electrification facing EMC, electromagnetic compatibility and interference with the 25 kV, all these very earthing and bonding, all these technical issues that you have, the signaling system for which the principle on the 1520 are different with the one we apply in the TCS level 2 to the E-links signaling principle. The gauge, eventually 1520, we have in some marshalling yard, the different of gauges that are crossing together, presenting some significant risks that we have to deal with, and obviously the legal part or the contractual part at the cross border. Organizational, we presented the way that Rail Baltica is organized. You see that is strange organization where there is a lot of partners or collaborators that needs to come to a common view. This is not easy. This is not easy because you have a strong partner that are part of Rail Baltica in terms of creation of Baltica, in which we have to work on a day-to-day basis for developing this railway. So the collaboration, and again, using the same language, which is based on the same concept and the same objective, it's something that does not happen immediately, that needs to be built along the way with confidence to each other, and also on focusing on the main objective. National safety authority that are applying currently different rules based on the 1520 that I will show that we bring with us along the way to make them at the correct level of approval or understanding how to approve our railway when it will be ready. And national operator, when they're applying some rules and different performance that we need to improve, or at least to show them what are the best practice in Europe currently. Talking about safety culture, what does it mean? It could be very vague, but in fact, we have also looked that a European railway safety culture model has been created. I will not go into the detail, but just instead of thinking that there are some fluffy concept for safety culture, there are very clear guidance and clear descriptions that can be applied in any organization to drive this safety culture. I don't go into the detail. I recommend, and all these documentations that I'm presenting to you are just a copy from the European website that are very well documented. So I invite you to go there, but some key of them that you will see, for example, the enablers are really related to the human. And that's clearly my point here, that the safety culture has to be based on people, the people that we are training now in developing this railway, and the people that will be using them later on. So we have clear guidance how to build a safety culture, and you see that you have the enabler, and then how do they call it, the fundamentals. For all of them, you can make measurement of the effectiveness of your implementation into your organization. So refer to this European railway safety culture if you want to have the detail. My message here is that we are not starting from scratch, and the way we're going to develop it into Rail Baltica and later on into what we will hand over to the infrastructure manager will be really driven and clearly driven by all these drivers. The safety culture you implement also in railway is not something that we create specific from railway. I took this example from the ISC, that means industrial safety culture. And again, that means it's not this approach of a risk management safety culture is not something specific of railway. It's more spread now in the industrial level. And you see that the different aspects that need to be approached when you develop a safety culture in the industry level or in railway. And you see that it's the center. The message here is the center is the risk management. Risk management will find solution into the system and also into the people. So the approach that you are taking into the common safety method by risk assessment is something that is clearly described by the regulation in railway in Europe, and also is something that we have in common with the industry level. Again, then you have all the different topics that you can approach in an organization to ensure that you cover all this risk related to the human factor. Where does it come from? It comes from an evolution. This change of mind, this focus on human factor, that means using the people at their best in an organization to increase the level of safety. It's a long evolution story, long at least for 60 years when it started. It started with the technical improvement. You remember maybe the safety integrity level and the fail-safe concept that you have at sometime in the railway. That was the first stage in the 60s, 80s. And then we look at the repetitiveness of this approach, ensuring that when we copy and paste the same technology or the same principle, we don't lose during the copy action. And that's the processes, the safety management system through processes that mean demonstrating that we have done it exactly the same way that give us confidence initially. And now, since the 21st century, we are moving into these human factors. And human activity, how the human operating the railway needs to be brought up and increased in terms of common knowledge and in terms of processes to ensure that they are the same levels that the systems that they are dealing with. Human factor refers to the interaction among system, components, and human, considering their behavior at the level such as individual, situational group, organizational, and cultural. And this is clearly the approach that you are putting in place in Rail Baltica. We are looking for the long term. We are looking for the core of the culture of these railway people that we have on board, ensuring that when they remain, if they remain in the railway, they will carry on with this culture. And also around us, when we talk to our collaborator, implementing body, contractor, and any partners that we will have, they understand the way we think. They understand what are the concepts that are behind our words or our language. That's the most important, sharing the same concept. And again, this in the fourth railway package from Europe, you have also a detail of how these human factors are taken into account into regulation for the railway undertaking, for the implementing, for the infrastructure manager, for the National Safety Authority, or for the National Investigation Board. So again, there is a structured approach for dealing with this human organizational factor. Safety management system, to remember that in the ERA website, we have the safety culture, the safety management system. How do we put that physically? Again, here, what the approach that you have taken is that we start since the beginning. What we call on the left, you see we have safety foundation. What are these safety foundation? Is technically looking at the correct system definition, looking at the RAMS definition in terms of a safety management plan, a RAMS management plan, all documentation that are explaining exactly in detail the level of safety that we will find into the system, RAMS definition. And we put this foundation of the safety culture inside Rail Baltica. In any action, in any development that we make, we look at the safety culture. How do we get the best approach? How do we get the best knowledge when developing this culture? That's the foundation in terms of system and in terms of processes that you are putting in place. On the wheel of virtues that you have on the right, you see that the safety culture, it's at the heart, and you have different processes and different drivers that are ensuring that you deal with your human factor in a correct way. So then you have the foundation, and the approach that we develop at Rail Baltica up to the moment that we get the authorization to put into service through the NSA. We see that on top, we are having a kind of continuous assurance with the National Safety Authority to ensure that they do understand what we do, and they will be ready, not at the end to receive a package that they will have to accept, but continuously they are able to understand what we do, to question us, and for us to answer. That means it's a constant and regular relationship that we have with the NSA. So the Rail Baltica development is supported by EU directive, by the requirement. We structure our requirement, system requirement, and the safety requirement. The processes, there are key elements, standardization. Standardization means that we all follow the same rules, and we can understand they are traceable. And the purpose also of this traceability is for being able, according to the context, to adapt them, to improve them. And obviously, collecting the evidences to get the safety case, authorization to put into revenue service, we will have a set of proper evidence, starting since the beginning, since the onset. That means at the stage of design, where we are developing the design, we are collecting evidences to expertise services. We'll see the authorization, the assessment body, and the notified bodies that are helping us to collect all these evidences. We will have a phase of O&M training to the infrastructure manager and maintainers. And at that time, then we hand over to the future operators in matter. That means there is no gap, and there is no big bang approach. It's a very continuous, lengthy, and progressive approach that we will have from the development of the company, supporting the entities that will later on operate and maintain, and for them documenting, tracing, documenting, improving any process to be sure that they understand the way we think, they understand the concepts, they understand the language, and they're able to take over confidently when they receive this railway. It is part of communication, collaboration, training, and documentation. What did we do how we did in Rail Baltica to ensure that there is a clear logic that is visible for anybody looking at the organization? We broke it down, the organization, and the technical division in three folders. Three folders that are almost replicating the 5126 standard, separating the task from the RAM, reliability, availability, maintainability approach, activity from the safety approach. We did the same, we separated the delivery approach, that means the task, from the processes and the RAM and safety approach that are on the left. In two parts, the system engineering processes, and then the system assurance processes. So again, here, if you look at the activities that are described in the European standard for demonstrating that we document and we follow the processes, it is visible through the organization who is responsible for what in terms of compliance with the European standard. System assurance is definitely the one complying with 5126, supported by all the processes that you have in system engineering. We don't know everything, so you see that also, again, the skills that we don't have on board will be supported by the RAM services that have developed all the system definition, RAMs plan, safety plan that we are currently implementing, and we have also put on board the assessment body services that are on board and the Novo services that are supporting the quality and the confidence, but we call in other project safety in design. And we are sure at any step, and they're producing a report for any package of a deliverable we receive, we know that the design you are producing is safe. We are not waiting later on to find it. We know since the beginning, as the production of the packages of the design you receive, the safety is embedded in our packages. So I will go rapidly to the ASBO services. Again, here nothing brand new in there. I want to show you that we are following the rules. We are playing by the rules, not because we don't know what we want. It's deliberate that we want to be absolutely traceable, perfectly visible to everybody. If you come from a different area in New York and in Europe and you are wondering what these guys are doing, look at the European standard, look at the European regulation, look at the European directive. That's the way we work. And especially for all this common safety method and by risk assessment, the ASBO services, we are playing by the rules. So we are following strictly what Europe is recommending. Not because obviously because Europe is paying for that, it's a European project. It's also to give confidence that people joining us or looking at us or analyzing the way we work, we are clear confidence that there is no hidden corner in Rail Baltica. It's an open book. We play by the book, through the book, with the people and bringing them to the best level. So here you have the list of directives that are implemented by the assessment body. These guys are definitely looking at the risk assessment. Common safety method by risk assessment. They are looking at the inner safety of the design. Again, this principle and this logic or this concept of risk assessment were already there in the 5126. And again, it's very well driven. We can split the different approach that you have to analyze the risk through the system condition, really the materials, the equipment, the operating condition, and this is where you look in the details, the human factor enter into play, and then the maintenance condition. So we're looking at the full spectrum of the activity of railway through the system, and when the system does something, and what the system does not, when the operator are in action, what are the risks presented? And obviously, how do you mitigate this risk? And the mitigation comes from the system itself, and the sea level, and the quality, reliability of the system, and also to the procedure. And the procedure are done by human, and we need to train, to test this procedure, we need to train the human to get the level of safety which is required. So we play by the book with the ASBO. For the TSI, is more technical. The TSI is a notified body, and this is where we need to demonstrate also to Europe that in terms of when we want to operate this railway, what are the rules, what are the technical conditions that they are implementing in this railway. And again, you see on the right, we have a lot of regulation and directive covering all the different elements of the architecture of these systems that are covered by this technical condition, specification for interoperability. So they are broken down by CCS, the command control and system, infrastructure, rolling stock, safety in tunnel, and all the directives are covering this TSI activity. What is important also in this slide specifically, if you look vertically, you see that the way we think that, or the way we are organized and the way the activity are organized, the precedence in the documentation is coming from Europe, the directive regulation, through the UN standard, and then to the national values. That the common language, the common approach is always driven by Europe. And this is where, Europe is also looking at the difference between the national condition and the European condition. The national condition are tended to be moved progressively to the European condition, but that's the way I would say when we took precedence in terms of documentation or in terms of requirement, it starts with Europe and then it cascades to the national value. Again, here I go very briefly on this interoperability. We have a list of all the different subsystems that we are considering. We are typically considering 3 subsystems, the communication and the energy and the infrastructure subsystem. They are starting from now, that means at the design phase they are already in place, and they will carry on up to the handover of this railway. On the top right, you see the national conditions that are still in place because not superseded by any European regulation. So that's the scope. So we are surrounded and we are supported by the best skill in terms of safety, implementing the safety culture. We are also supported by the best services in terms of interoperability, in terms of demonstration of quality and technical operability of this railway. So not that much technical, but to sum it up, I hope I have been simple at six, that I put emphasis on the human, that will be the long-lasting legacy for this project. How good are the people understanding the railway, and insisting also that this common language is driven by the collaboration of people. And the main objective of this project is having a pure and dedicated collaboration for targeting a common objective. Thank you.